So Gareth, can you tell me what are the main considerations or things to think about in terms of organising our research?
Organising research essentially is about how you put your plan into practice. So it's essentially implementing all the planning that you've been doing. It's actually going out and finding the information that you need to answer that research question. But as with most plans, as soon as you put them into practice, you're almost certainly going to come up against the unexpected. And organising your research is important so that you have the capability to adapt to changing circumstances. And a great example of something that you might need to adapt to, or a problem that you might need to solve, might be lack of recruitment. Nobody knows how well recruitment is going to go until you actually do it. So you might, for instance, expect to find enough people to run 2 or 3 focus groups, but you might actually end up with only enough people to run 2 or 3 interviews. And that's fine, but you need to be able to say how you've adapted to that problem, and you need to also justify that solution to the problem. And that's important because you need to be able to tell people what you've done and why you've done it.
So for a new researcher, an undergraduate, say, working on a dissertation, undertaking the first major research project, what advice would you give them for that inevitable point in time where something doesn't go quite to plan?
Well, as with all points in research, I think the overriding principle is keep it simple. If you've got a simple plan and a simple structure, it's much easier to adapt that simple plan and simple structure. If you've designed a complex piece of research and something goes wrong, that can have knock-on consequences for subsequent parts of the research. So if you can actually keep it nice and simple, then you're going to find it much easier to be able to adapt to any unforeseen circumstances.
Gareth, what advice would you give new researchers in terms of the scale or scope of the research?
It's very, very easy to ask complicated questions, but you're not going to get marks for being overly complex. So keeping it as simple and as achievable as possible is always going to get you to your end result more effectively than doing something that's more complex. If you're going to be doing something that's overly complicated and overly ambitious, you're going to run into trouble much more quickly. So don't try and aim for the sky straight away. You need to be able to do something that is absolutely going to be achievable at the end. And it's all about making sure you answer that question with elegant simplicity. That complexity doesn't help anyone. It will just serve to confuse you, it will confuse your supervisor, and it will confuse the person who's reading your report at the end of the day as well.